Happy 20th anniversary AMA. Blessings and Godspeed.
Happy 20th anniversary to AMA. Looking forward to a lot more.
We'd like to thank AMA because Mountain Hood Community College and Portland Community College has a collaboration with Steps to Success students. They receive provider information, and some of our students have become providers in their program, and we are very active with the North-Northeast Task Force. Happy 20th AMA.
Good evening, and I am so pleased to welcome everybody to AMA's 20th annual banquet. For 20 consecutive years, we have been doing this particular event. We really only do one major event a year, and the purpose of that event is to bring our programs together, our board members together, the community together in celebration of the accomplishments that AMA has made over the lifespan of the organization, and particularly what the accomplishments were for the past year. And that's what this evening was all about.
Reverend Garlington was striving to bring the east side and the west side of the river together. The award is given to one who has encouraged reconciliation or sought to forge new and improved relationships which improve and enhance the community and the city as a whole. The Bridge Builder Award is presented to the Reverend Dr. Aaron M. Hamlin. Reverend Hamlin, for the many years of service in the areas of church and racial reconciliation, we proudly present to you this award.
Thank you. This is like my birthday party. My wife did a surprise birthday party. I had no idea, no thought. And so we accept this award on behalf of my wife, who sacrifices a lot. We appreciate her and the family, and we appreciate the AMA and the involvement with all of my friends in AMA. We accept this very humbly, and so that's the end.
Naturally, I have stood to welcome each of you to the 20th banquet for the Albina Ministerial Alliance. It's not to say that we've only been operating 20 years, but it's been 20 years that we have celebrated our annual day by holding this particular banquet. It's a time in which various friends and supporters come together and review the success of accomplishments over the past year. We serve many needs. There are many challenges that face us, as the executive director has given her report, and our goal is to attempt to service those needs in the most effective way possible. We want to say that it's been a real delight over the past year working with the clergy, members of the Albina Ministerial Alliance, both the board of directors and the general membership, our executive director and the staff, the clients that we serve, and the many, many supporters such as yourselves that are represented here this evening that come together to make all this possible. We're especially blessed this evening because with us is a very distinguished person. Often organizations will grow and evolve, and you never know from the time they start what they will evolve into as they move forward. Those of you that have been privileged to read the history of the Albina Ministerial Alliance will recognize that it started in its embryonic stage where a number of Baptist ministers came together for the purpose of fellowship. And that little stream began to widen and deepen as time went on. And this began in the late 1950s, and it has evolved until today. But we are honored to have the special person who called those original members together, Reverend Eugene Boyd. I'll ask him to stand.
Tell me, what year did you start AMA?
1954.
How was it for Negroes back in 1954? What made you start AMA?
Well, number one is because the Urban League and the NAACP didn't recognize the ministers, but they were always calling on us for support.
Yes, sir.
Whenever they had a program, or whenever they come to our churches, and they get the members out, but they didn't never give the ministers any credit for anything. And during the civil rights thing, we ministers were heading it up, you know. But the problem that we were having with the ministers at that time was that we had a bunch of older ministers who didn't want to go beyond their own denomination. So we had an influx of new ministers that come to town. And so the Lord put it on my heart to organize these new ministers that had just come to town. And so we went over to, the Lord allowed me to talk to Dr. Williams, and we organized in the basement of the Vancouver Avenue First Baptist Church. And then some more new ministers like Reverend Jackson, all of them, they came to town, and so they supported us, and that's how we got going, because we had an influx of new ministers. Reverend Graham was the first president, and Reverend Wallace was president one time, Bishop McKinney, and several others before Dr. Jackson got in there.
And your name is?
Eugene Boyd Jr. I always like to say Junior because my dad I'm named after him.
I think AMA means stability. I think when you look at the leadership that has been spun by AMA, when you look at Reverend John Jackson, when you look at Reverend Garlington, you look at the current leadership under Bishop Wells, it's been an organization that historically has been there for individuals. You can look at the birth of the Albina Head Start program, SCI. All those programs have been a result of AMA. And I think certainly it's probably safe to say that had it not been for AMA, we wouldn't have had those programs to provide services to our community.
I'm Reverend Lynn Smouse Lopez, and I'm pastor of Ainsworth United Church of Christ in Northeast Portland. And the Albina Ministerial Alliance means hope for people in North and Northeast Portland, and it means an opportunity for people to come together in many different ways to work towards bettering the community, to work towards giving hope and opportunities to various people of the community, often folks that have been forgotten or marginalized or put down by the rest of society. We come together to give them hope and to give them a way to further their lives and to expand their lives. And we do it also as a witness to our faith and to Jesus Christ. And it brings people together with that faith and that witness. Well, Church Service Agency, or church, works out of a faith base. And faith really defines, I would assume, every church body or every congregation. It defines what they do and how they do it and their inspiration behind that. So I tend to think that in some ways, I would hope in many ways, that we are a different kind of animal than just a nonprofit service corporation, because we do come from a faith base, and we can testify to that and the way we live that out. I think that faith-based organizing and faith-based community groups help to serve and relate and promote and connect to people because of the faith, not because it's a job usually, not because it's, we got grant money we have to use, but because of our faith. It impels us to do it. And so our motivation may be different. There's a lot of faith people that are in private, non-profit service corporations, but as an organization, we're supposed to be reaching out because of our faith, not because of the other things, not because of the money or the services or the grants or the rules.
Congratulations, AMA, on your 20th anniversary, and I'm happy that I could join you. AMA means so much to the community, and they mean so much because the base of AMA is faith, and faith is what I believe this community needs in order to rejuvenate ourselves and to become the community that we can become. I firmly believe that can only happen through our faith in our Heavenly Father.
Do you think AMA's delivery of social service is different than a more traditional social service agency, one that's not faith-based?
Oh, I know it is, because anytime that you're operating using Christian principles, then you're going to present whatever it is that you're doing in a very, very different way. You're going to present it in a more caring way, in a more individual way, and you're going to present it in a way that you know your biblical teachings urge you to do.
Hi, I'm Pastor Henry Greenidge, pastor of Irvington Covenant Church. You know, the question is, what does AMA mean to the community? Tonight, we've been a part of a banquet that talks about shared leadership. And AMA, we're on the threshold of something really important here. For black folks in the community, our ministers are coming together. It's the Albina Ministerial Alliance coming together. There's trust, there's friendship. When you have trust and friendship, you can do more together. Bishop Wells said it, I believe it. He said we can do more together than we could do separately. When we pray together, when we stay together, when we give together, when we plan together, and when we speak to the difficult issues in our community together, things happen. And then AMA means to me that it's an opportunity to reach out to the broader community, east and west, north and south, because we live in one big global village, and AMA is a common ground area. And I'm excited to be a part of it. There are tremendous things happening in this town because of AMA. God bless you.
I think SCI has, as you said, a real unique history with AMA, given the fact that we see AMA kind of as the parents of SCI, given the fact that when we first started, we had the opportunity to be one of those incubator type programs that AMA has spawned off across the years. And they were very important to us. They gave us a chance to get SCI off the ground. And I'm not sure that a lot of people out there who see SCI now and all of its growth that we've had and some of the services that we provide realize that we started as a very small program at the AMA site in one room with 4 people huddled around a desk trying to make some decisions about growth. So AMA is, they're our parents. They're the ones that gave us our start. And I think they've continued to do that over the years for a lot of other programs. And they provide that stability that I think all of us need in a community. All of us like to have something that we can point to, something that we know is going to always be there. And I think in a community like ours, there's always change, but you need to have something that's stable, that you can always go back to, that you know is going to be there, that's going to be supportive and not be judgmental. And AMA has always been that, and was certainly that for self-enhancement.
AMA has an important role in the community. It means to a lot of people help. It means to a lot of people hope. It has that arm that a lot of people don't sometimes even know that AMA is there. But that person who is looking for guidance, that person is looking for how to develop some skills, that person is looking at how do I overcome, that's what AMA is about. The ministers have put together not only faith, but acting on that faith. And so an individual can come to AMA and be encouraged and develop self-esteem and then learn to develop their talent so that they can become more independent and more self-reliant.
There are a number of significant contributions that I think this organization has made to the community. One has to be within incubator services, Lanita. And what incubator services is that's where they allow different organizations to come under their sponsorship, use their 501c3, help them to get started as a nonprofit or as a business and be able to grow that off. And they have actually really helped multi-million-dollar areas. If we stop to count in this organization, in the community, what this organization has helped people to get started, it's into the multi-millions of dollars that they've helped to bring in. I think another accomplishment is that it brings in great numbers of financial resources to the community. And last but not least, I think it helps people to believe in themselves and that to believe that I can make a difference. I am worthwhile. I am somebody. And yes, I can do it. And I think that when I think about Claiborne tonight that was there, and when he came to us, he was a case manager. He wanted to run a business, but didn't really know exactly how to get started in it. And, you know, he kept staying there and talking to the accountant and, you know, directors and different things and putting his little ideas together. And the next thing we knew, Claiborne was saying to us, oh, I think I can go on my own now. And he has a reputable security business that he is actually doing very well with a number of different contracts. And he definitely stops to say that, you know, part of my management skills, I learned them at AMA. And I don't know, clergy also would say, many of our clergy come back to say, you know, part of the legal things that I needed to learn, I got that resource sitting around that table at AMA. And that's part of the, you know, the benefits that this organization has brought to the community.
Ms. Mosley for the Frontline Soldier Award for the many years of service to this community in the area of employment resources. We thank you, and we're proud to give you this award.
I've been to church, so I'll stay in church. And first I have to give honor to God, because I am nothing but a lump of clay. You know, and only God shapes me and pushes me and gives me the passion I have for this community. I'm a native Portlander, so Albina is very special to me. Ministry is very special to me, to stay in a humble position so I can hear the words of God. You know, and then Alliance. Now look at that. It's all about leadership. It's all about sharing. And this example that I see here today of shared leadership, men who are pastors, and have great congregations, you know. I hear about it all over the place. And so I have to follow. I got a place I got to follow, you know. And then I think about the Frontline Award, Soldier Award, and John Jackson. And when I had the pleasure of sitting beside him, very young, but sitting beside him as he led the NAACP against something about the city was in error about. And I was like, oh, wow, I never seen such wisdom come from them just in the heat of the battle. And I said, okay, I need to be about the battle as well. And so I have great leadership before and after. I thank God for my own pastor, who was a member of the Albina Ministerial Alliance, Bishop J.C. Foster. So I have to stay in church. I stay in church on my job. I want people to know that. Great faith in God. So I just thank and appreciate this award. It came to me as a surprise, because when Cherie called me, I argued her down. I said, oh, no, not me. There's got to be somebody else. But so I'm very appreciative and very humble tonight. Thank you.
AMA means hope, and it means a future, and it means people contributing back to their community so their community gets better. And I think for us at Kaiser Permanente, what I was thinking about when I was hearing the talks and seeing the videos tonight, I was thinking about how healthcare systems, ourselves, the legacy system, the Providence system, how we have, it's very important to us to join hands with the community in order to create a healthy community. And healthcare systems can't do that by themselves. They have to have communities that are very actively involved. And what I felt tonight in listening to the stories about children being fed, about women returning to work, about crime being avoided, was every one of those individuals could have wound up in one of our hospitals. That could have been a situation where Without the support of AMA, without the support of this community, we sometimes have the downstream problems. So for me, what was very hopeful about tonight was a feeling of the pride and the contribution that the people in this community are giving back to their own community. And I think for Kaiser Permanente, because we're part of this community too, I'm especially pleased to be here to say we're there with you. We're partners in this.
My name is Nita Nichols, and AMA helped me and my 4 children. In 1990, we were homeless and we were coming from Texas and we didn't have a place to stay. And Richard Hunter helped move us into a 2-bedroom apartment, and it was around Christmas time, and he made sure that my kids had more than enough presents. And it was me and my sister, and my kids actually had enough to share with their cousins. And he made sure we had a big dinner and everything that we needed for our house.
I think to the community it means how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to work together in unity. AMA is made up of many ministers from various churches, and they have learned to work together, and it does show a good picture to the community, to those looking at us. And I've been in AMA for probably over 20 years, and I've seen it's been built upon the shoulder of many great men like Brother Reverend Foster, Bishop Foster, and Reverend Garlington, and all those great men, and then also Eugene Boyd, who's here tonight. And so it's been a real stable foundation in our community. And as we move forward into the 21st century, I think that the AMA is going to be a stronger force in the community, and I think it's going to have a strong appeal and outreach to the youth of our community. But we have somewhat lost almost a generation, but I think that through AMA and other agencies, we are going to recapture our young people and give them a renewed and give them a vision and give them something really to live for.
Reverend Mark Knutson, pastor of Augustana Lutheran Church, Northeast 15th and Knott. What does AMA mean to the community? It's been a lifelong organization as far as I'm concerned, because I was born in '52, so AMA is just a few years younger. And having grown up in Portland, AMA has been an organization that's been on the cutting edge of issues affecting the whole community. Today, the churches that come together, the pastors and the leaders of many congregations come together to make a difference and to reshape the community. It's affected people in situations of great need, and it's also been organizations that addressed issues that affect the whole community, issues of society, of structure, of economic justice, of peacemaking, the fellowship, the breaking of bread, coming together in music. When I came back from Chicago, the first meeting I went to was AMA's Ministerial Alliance. What did we do? We prayed together, we sang together, and they focused on the stranger. Out of that then came great action. So this sense of strong community relationships, of people coming together for fellowship, but also then to act. So what does AMA mean to me? It's an organization our church is involved with and have chosen to be strongly aligned with because of what it has done in the past, the great heritage, and the hope for the future.
In case your situation has turned upside down and all that you've accomplished is now on the ground, you don't have to stay in the shape that you're in. The potter wants to put you back together again. Oh, the potter wants to put you back together again. You in the Potter's house. If you need love in the Potter's house, unconditional love in the Potter's house. There is salvation. In the Potter's house. There is salvation. There is salvation. In the Potter's house. And there is healing. There is healing for the mind, healing for the body, healing for the soul. There's healing in God's house. In the Potter's house. Everything you need. There's deliverance. If you're bound, the Lord knows how to set you free. There's deliverance in God's house. I want you to know everything you need. God has everything you need. Everything that you need is in God's house. I want you to know everything you need. Everything that you need. The Potter wants to put you back together again. Oh, the Potter wants to put you back together again.
My friends, we must reestablish the lines of communication with our youth and assure them that one day, as the great late Dr. Martin Luther King said, they will be judged by the contents of their character and not kicked to the curb because of the color of their skin. But we must inform them that we must keep on rising. Let them know, perhaps we're a little too slow for hip-hop, rappers like Jay-Z or Run DMC, but we do understand what the notorious late Mr. Big meant when he said, "You're mad because my style you're admiring. Don't be mad, UPS is hiring." We all can't be rap stars, but we are rising, and so forth and so on. We must affirm and reaffirm our love to our youth ever so much. So tell them whose shoulders they are standing and rapping on. Jackie Robinson, men like Latimer and Fannie Lou Hamer. Tell them how we got to where we are. Tell them that we were the ones keeping it real after our forefathers had kept it real for us. Tell them. And so our theme, shared leadership, a strategy for the new millennium. One would be remissful, that is negligent, for not mentioning the enormous contribution made to this, the North and Northeast Portland community, by the past and present leadership of the Albina Ministerial Alliance over the last 40 plus years.
Well, I think you can look at it from the standpoint of AMA. I mean, you have a number of ministers that went to divinity school. You have also ministers that did not go through that kind of academic preparation, but they've been able to work together in a holistic manner. I think you also have ministers that have congregations that are made up of the same elements. It doesn't affect what happens in terms of contributions and what kind of services that the ministers deliver as well as the church. So I think it's been a very good blend.
It has been shown historically that any time government tries to run families, it fails. And so the faith-based community has something going for it that government doesn't have, because the faith-based community understands that families were ordained by God. It is, as they say, it's in the book. And so they understand what a family needs and understand that a family is more than taxpayers, it's more than statistics. It is human beings relying on one another to develop one another, to encourage one another, and to love one another. So to answer your question, the faith-based community has more to offer than what government can.
And what's your relationship with AMA?
My relationship with AMA is that we're a new incubator program with AMA called We're Here, We Care. And the purpose of We're Here, We Care is to give an alternative to youth violence by developing positive families. We believe that it doesn't do any good to have youth programs and then send those young people to families that still are struggling. So we look at it as a two-edged sword. We're going to develop the current programs for youth, and then we're going to help the parents become stronger and better parents, develop their skills and their own self-worth so that they can deal with their children. Because, as I said before, the faith community, God ordained the family, and the family starts with a husband and wife, and that husband and wife must stay strong together to nurture their children. My name is John Holly, and I'm the program director for We're Here, We Care.
I think, first of all, you know, we have to look that you look for the good inside of anybody. I believe that everybody has something to offer. And I don't really know whether this is an appropriate comment, but I often think about a man that ran a little organization that was called Po Folks. He really did have, he had some wonderful skills that he brought to our community. But one of the things that I would end up saying is that we look for the good in every individual. Every person that comes to this earth has a purpose. Look for the purpose and help them to believe that, okay, I'm going to focus on the good in you. I don't want to focus on the other. What do you want to do? Can I help you do that? But now, I got to believe that I can trust you. And don't disturb my trust. Don't end up breaking that trust. And because if I stand up for you, and I feel like I've had a lot of support here in the community, that people have stood up for me and that they believed in me, and I've tried not to let folk down. But if I stand up for you, don't let me down.
What are your plans to prepare AMA for the year 2000 and beyond?
Well, we're doing a lot of things with our board, because one of the things that I've seen the organization grow to is finally growing to the level of where the board understands that its role is, one, to set policy, understand how to govern, and raise money. And we are in the process of really helping them to learn how to do that. They're wanting me to spend more of my time helping them to learn how to do that. Another thing that we want to do is we want to end up going into the year 2000 being more prepared with automation, looking at how do we improve and be able to fit in with technology, just to improve our skills all the way around. And we also understand that collaboration, co-laboring together, I believe we're going to have to stick together to make this happen. But, and the final part has to do with economic development. I believe that it's a tripart, and that the services that we have learned to provide, those services are marketable. So we're going to be looking at saying, okay, so you want to know how to start a child care network in a community? Here's what it takes. We will consult with you to do that. And that's a way of helping to sustain the organization and bring finances into it. So those are some of the things that we'll be doing.
Turn it into a business, huh, Cornetta?
Turn it to a business.
We use the word so to suggest perhaps mediocrity. We use the word so sometimes to indicate thus and so was not so. And we don't want to say anything disparagingly, so we say so. For instance, the meal tonight, or perhaps this very message, someone may characterize either or both as so. Meaning they weren't bad or exciting. But I submit to you tonight, this is a so gathering, because it's a continuation of something Christ started. It's a so occasion, not because it's mediocre, not because it doesn't please everybody. It's so because God says so. So I invite you to please let us go home with this so-so. When I say so, I don't mean he's not bad. I mean he's everything. He keeps on going anyhow. He's so-so God. You start with him. He begins where other small letter God leaves off. That's why the word for him is so forth and so on, because we know he has brought us so far. Ends with so. So, continuing daily with one accord in the temple and breaking bread from house to house, they ate their food with gladness and simplicity of heart. So, this text mentions the matter of the master's disciples having meals together as a mark of their fellowship, as exemplified by what we're doing here tonight. It is mentioned as one of those things they do as a means of affirming their relationship as new baptized believers. It is an indication of their fellowship in the faith. This matter of meals, of eating together, is one of the practices in which the believers engaged, and it is one that is introduced by the first word of the 41st verse of the 2nd chapter book of Acts, which is so. So those who received his, talking about Peter's words, were baptized, and there were added that day about 3,000 souls. I submit that everything beyond verse 41 is actually introduced by that word so. Therefore, the entire sermon really is so. All future actions of the disciples commence with so. So becomes the emphasis of their activity, the starting event of the Spirit's manifestation that was made evident early on in this book of Acts, particularly in this 2nd chapter. The statement of ridicule by the onlookers, saying these men were drunk. The sermon about the means of this supernatural event by Peter, including his exaltation to salvation. All these things, all these pronouncements have come on before, have gone on before. There is every need now to expect some demonstrative results from that which has been previously preached. And so that's why Luke here says so. Everything that has taken place up to so. It is an inferential word. In other words, it infers something that is not quite so obvious. It denotes an essential element of significance. It introduces quintessential information concerning that which has preceded it. The writer simply says so and expects us to understand, know, and appreciate most of that which has gone on before. The inference is clear. Something has happened, and therefore the result of it is now proceeding. Therefore, one can appreciate it when you understand the background of that message preached and the fellowship of the delicious and delectable meals shared together. That presentation of the divine self back in chapter 1 of Acts on the road to Emmaus, when Jesus appeared to these disciples, and the subsequent manifestation of God the Holy Spirit in that new and arresting way. All of these things have occurred so. Then it is not only inferential, it is continuative. So is used here as a continuative conjunction, telling us to expect transition, indicating a movement to something new. So it prepares us to move ahead. And one can say so or so. However one says it, it has a meaning of movement. So the writer places it right in between. All that has preceded is preliminary. He places it there so we would have great expectation. The previous pronouncements have been purposeful. From so onward, this whole matter now begins to unfold. So Luke says, those who received Peter's words were baptized. As a result of what has happened before, they are thoroughly persuaded that this is the proper thing to do. They are convinced to the extent that they can expect no greater action now. Baptism is a consequence of what has happened before. They will to move boldly forward. Like the Apostle Paul later, you cannot head them off now, even though you cut their heads off. They are determined, they are committed to so. This writer wants us to understand that everything really begins with so. And the matter tonight in which I call our attention is simply around this recompilation, or the act of recompiling. In other words, we as a people are the recipients of the sum total of that which has preceded us. And just in case we have forgotten the word, one black poet, and I paraphrase, by the grace of our God, we have reached up from the depths of human misery and degradation and alienation and segregation and negation, reached up to grasp the vision of highest points of human achievement. We have our Colin Powells, our John Lewis, our Barbara Jordan, our Oprah Winfrey. Yes, we are steadily climbing, reaching, landing, and turning corners. And in the poet's tributes to our achievement, he lauds among the things of our race, suggestive and surprising, that still the most exhausting place is, tell them we are rising. The question asked is for right and truth. What to write and tell our proud black youth? Tell them we are rising to a place of meeting. Out in the world we make our mark, anger and fear despising, ever soaring upward like a lark. Oh, my brothers, we are rising. We meet our foes with voice and pen, with eloquence surprising. Give us a chance, for we too are men and women. Most assuredly, we are rising. Rising to take our place beside the noble and the aspiring, with energy and conscious pride to the blessed things we are rising. We go forth, my friend, upon our way, each and every obstacle despising, proving that our God walks with us every day. It is God assures us who we are rising. So we must remember tonight the words of that most distinguished black poet, Langston Hughes, as he captures the anguish and the agony of the struggle of African Americans in their journey toward freedom. When he wrote the poem also, he said, what happens to a dream deferred? He asked, what happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run, or crust and sugar over like syrup sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode?